Who do you think is more responsible for the Cowboys' struggles at this point? The coaches or the players?
Well, first of all, Jenna, I want to know what was on that playlist because I want to make sure that I delete it. And I don't know what I felt. I don't know what I felt more uncomfortable with, your dancing or Van Gundy's handles.
Coach, what's second of all?
Question, I'm speechless after that dancing. But in terms of this topic, the whole idea of anonymous comments is weak. It's weak, and it probably didn't come from a player. It probably came from an agent of a disgruntled player who either thinks he's not getting played enough, thinks he's not getting played the correct way, doesn't want to be accountable for the lack of success that they've had in Dallas. And look, it's the same thing as last year. They couldn't wait to run out Jason Garrett, right? Jason was the problem, so they bring in a new head coach. And this guy doesn't know what to do. You know, he's got 31 years of experience, but he has no idea how to coach football. Mike Nolan has 39 years of experience, but he has no idea how to coach football. There's 6 games into the season that it's ridiculous for if someone did do this anonymously, if a player did do this anonymously, it's just weak. You have every opportunity to go in and talk to the head coach and tell him what your concerns are, to tell him what you think should be changed or could be changed. And he will listen. And if you don't feel like you're going to get satisfaction there, you can talk to the captains. There's so many avenues to travel down before you start putting anonymous comments in the paper. It's the sign of a lack of character, lack of leadership, lack of being a teammate. It's just plain weak and wrong.
Wow. Coach.
Yeah, Coach, I agree with you on that one. It's absolutely unacceptable. Look, I would actually be a problem if you were my coach and I was in this locker room, I was your wide receiver, and this happened. I will actually become part of the problem because you would have probably went into the team meeting room and said, guys, this can never happen. I would have stood up and I would have said, who said it? Put your name on it. And you'd be like, Brandon, please sit down. Sit down. But, Coach, I think it's both the player and the coach. I truly believe that. And all I heard you talk about was, well, it's the player's agent or it's the player. I just think what you said is critical. You have to be a coach willing to listen to your players. Some coaches don't. And it sounds like you are. Can you take me into any of those moments where one of your players came to your office and was like, look, Coach, I don't think this is working out. This is the tone in the locker room. You know, I think we need to fix it. Did you take it in, and what did you do?
It was always the case, whether it was when I was a defensive backs coach and Lawyer Malloy or Ty Law or Rodney Harrison had ideas on different ways to do things, we'd always talk about that. Or as a defensive coordinator, if Mike Vrabel or Brewski or any of those guys spoke up and said they had something that they thought could be a different way, we would talk about it.
So that was natural. That's good.
Well, it's just part of having a relationship. It's part of all working towards the same goal. The same thing as a head coach. You're constantly working with your quarterback. You're constantly working with your team captains. Your goal is not to be adversarial with your players. Your goal is to get to the best possible situation for everybody involved because we all depend on each other. All of our success is tied into each other. And it's in my best interest to help you be as successful as you possibly can be as a player. And when you start pointing fingers, it's the classic trait of a loser mentality. It's not me, right. It's you. It's not me, it's you. No. What can you do personally?
Yeah.
What can you do personally to make things better?
So,
yes.
Listen, on this full spectrum of things I like and don't like doing on television, on the furthest left bound of things I like the least, it's watching that clip of Jenna dancing. On the furthest right bound of things I like the most, it's blaming coaches for a team failing. I love it. It wakes me up in the morning. This guy didn't know how to go for 4th downs. This guy butchered the clock. This guy doesn't understand who to keep on the court at the same time. Doesn't matter the sport. Give me to about Game 5 of the World Series, and I'm coming for one of these guys. Haven't decided who yet, but it's coming. With that said, this is outrageous by whichever Cowboys player or players said it. There are plenty of times, Wilds, to blame coaches. When you have allowed 36.5 points per game, the worst in football, by half a touchdown, that ain't it. When you have committed the most turnovers in the league, 15, and forced the fewest turnovers, 3, that ain't it. It is not coaches' fault that Zeke all of a sudden started becoming a fumbler, that Michael Gallup's dropping touchdowns, that the safeties don't understand that what, honestly, I think they named the position safety just so if you don't know football, it's like, well, what am I supposed to do? I'm probably supposed to make sure everybody's safe. Go far back. Like, that's not coaching. This is the players being terrible. And so there are plenty of times, Wilds, I want to blame coaches. The Cowboys situation
That's the greatest take ever.
One of them. Thanks,
the greatest take ever.
And it's just passing the buck. And so I find it as embarrassing as coach does.
All right, just to play the other side of it.
Yeah,
Mike McCarthy said he was prepared to play the Cardinals. The Cardinals came into Jerry World and smashed the Cowboys. So if I'm the player, I can be like, you know what? Our coach, who said he was prepared, turns out he's not prepared. Oh, you're gonna yell. Granted, go to the media. Like, it's just the truth. And if I, as a player, don't think I have the avenue to tell the coach or tell the captain because the captain likes the coach, or I feel like, I don't know, I'm taking the other side of this one, Coach. I haven't seen anything put on tape where the coaches are immune from criticism. And if I'm a player, maybe I don't see the avenue. Maybe I made the wrong decision. Maybe I don't see the avenue to send that message.
Well, that take is a little bit like Jenna's dancing. They're at a place where the coach isn't all powerful. The GM is the owner. The GM is the owner. No, it was great, Jenna. So if you're not happy with the recourse that you're getting from dealing with the head coach, you can go talk to the owner. It's not like a totalitarian regime where there is no other avenue. You have another avenue before you go to the media. And you're telling me that Jerry Jones wouldn't listen to a disgruntled player? Of course he would.
All right, let's switch gears and talk about a little bit of Le'Veon Bell. Brett Favre chimed in on the Chiefs signing the all-pro running back. Not a huge fan of the move. Guys, listen to what Favre had to say. He said, well, they don't need him. They've got a good thing going, and sometimes adding a player of Le'Veon's caliber can do more harm than good. I'm not saying it will, but, think about it this way. What can they do with Le'Veon that they are not doing already, other than feeling the need to give him the ball to please him, which is really all that you're putting him in there for? So, Brandon, take it away. You agree with Favre? Where do you fall on this?
I do agree with Favre, but I don't think that it will happen in this situation. But I agree with him because I experienced this. I realized when I was too high-strung for wanting the ball or being involved, I would disrupt the rhythm of the play caller. I knew that I could disrupt the rhythm of the quarterback. What you want is your quarterback to drop back and just feel free going through his progressions, going through his reads, and making the decision that he think is best. But when you have a high-strung wide receiver, a player that wants the ball, the thing that goes on in the quarterback's head is like, man, if I don't get this guy the ball, then when I get to the sideline, is he going to yell at me? Are we going to have an argument? Or is he going to pout? Is he going to shut it down? So those are the things that a high-strung player who wants the ball can potentially disrupt when it comes to that offense. The offensive coordinator, you want that offensive coordinator to say, you know what, I'm in a rhythm, I'm calling it up. I don't care who gets the ball, we just want the W. But if you have a guy's like, look, I haven't touched the ball in a quarter, 2 quarters, or the last 4 games, I really haven't been productive. Get me the ball. He's gonna be like, I know I got to get this guy the ball because he's gonna come in my office and Monday and Wednesday it just disrupts everything you're trying to do on offense. So for me, I do understand what Brett Favre is saying. However, in this situation, I don't see that happening. You have a veteran head coach, and then you also have a quarterback who has set the standard, saying that I distribute the ball equally. Whoever's open is going to get the ball. Yes, I have my plays. Yes, I know my guys. But at the end of the day, they have so many weapons, and they do a great job of getting everyone involved. And you got to imagine that they had a conversation and said, Le'Veon, this is how we're going to use you. Sign off on it. He signed off on it. Insert Le'Veon. He'll be fine.
Yeah, to your point, Brandon, it goes back to our Antonio Brown discussion. If you add a player that could potentially disrupt the chemistry, then yeah, that's an issue, and that's a risk you take. I don't think this is that situation. Watching Le'Veon's press conference, I felt like he was excited to go there and play a role. Yeah. He was excited for whatever opportunity that he got, and he wanted to win. And to me, that is the perfect situation for a team. When you're adding Le'Veon Bell, and I know he was a disappointment in New York, but remember, 2 years ago, he had 66 catches for the Jets. It's not like he had no production whatsoever, but now Le'Veon Bell is an afterthought as part of the weapons that you have to stop. Yeah. And if he's a fraction of the guy that he was, it just gets to the point where what are you going to take away? It'll eventually come to the point where you're going to spin the Rolodex against Kansas City because you're not really taking away anything. You just got to hope something hits, because it doesn't matter where they go to, they can be explosive. I really like his attitude going to Kansas City. I think it'll be liberating for him, and I think it'll give him a chance to revive his career.
Yeah, I think the key is we got a window into what matters to Le'Veon Bell, as Coach was alluding to, by seeing which team he chose. He could have gone to Miami. Listen, I've lived in Kansas City for 20 years of my life. It's a great town. You want to raise a family. Low cost of living. Second most fountains of any city in the world. But if I was young, rich, and single, I think I'd pick Miami if I'm worried about nightlife. Right? Yeah, it is true. Only Venice has more. Look it up. It's fountain capital of the United States. Look it up. And so the fact that he chose the Chiefs over Miami and the lifestyle, or the Chiefs over the Bears, where he would have just gotten the touches. The Bears desperately would use him more than the Chiefs will. So it speaks to me, Wilds, that he's putting a focus on winning, and he knows he doesn't think he's going to Kansas City and going to be the #1 option. Right? So I feel like, Jenna, that we have an idea of what's important to him by the fact that it'd be one thing if he was on waivers and the Chiefs claimed him and he didn't have a say in it. But he chose the Chiefs, which gives me optimism it's going to work.
For a reason. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.